This is going to be a really good year of college football. I know it's still spring. Some teams haven't even started spring, but a lot of you cry for parity. You really want parity. You watched Alabama pull in another national championship a couple of months ago, and you said, man, we got to get some parity in this sport. Well, what if I told you it's here? Or at least the ingredients for it are here. I can't guarantee that there's going to be a different outcome, but you guys want more teams in the dance. That's what you really ask for. If there's one common theme, that's what I hear a lot. Well, if you want parity, how about I tell you this, okay? Again, can't guarantee the outcome, but if I told you Ohio State, let's see all these teams, Ohio State, Oregon, LSU, Michigan, Texas A&M, Florida State, like there are so many programs out there that have bona fide quarterback battles on their hands. Jesse is showing you the graphic right now if you're watching on YouTube, and by the way, as you're looking at this graphic, you see the Buckeyes, Ducks, you see the Horns there, LSU, Michigan. You don't even see Alabama, but yet they're breaking in a new quarterback. You don't even see Clemson there, but yet they are really breaking in a new quarterback in DJ Uiagalelei. And so there are a lot of places out there where it's kind of just already assumed we know who has a leg up, probably to an 80% degree of who's going to start. We're just talking about the ones tonight out of the major programs that have wide open battles. So let's dive into this a little bit, because I know maybe in spring, like a lot of you haven't gone out to the grocery store and you haven't picked up your preview magazine. You can't, they're not out yet. And you probably haven't just taken too deep a dive. There's this pandemic. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's still around, all kind of things going on in your life. You just plan to go to the beach sometime in July, and that's when you'll officially catch up on all of 2021 college football. But no, you're not, because we're going to spoil it for you right now. Ohio State, this is probably one of the most consequential quarterback battles in America this year. There's a great piece, by the way, that kind of corresponds with what we're going to talk about tonight on 247sports.com. As of 30 minutes ago, it was on the front page still. I'm looking at it, so it has to be there. Ohio State, Justin Fields out. Obviously, he's off to the NFL. And this is so huge because, again, this is the preseason favorite in all likelihood to win the Big Ten, and yet you nor I know who's going to start at quarterback for him right now. Important to note with a lot of these quarterback battles that I'm talking about, these are going to be quarterback battles where they are battles because there are multiple legit options. It's not choosing from the lesser of four evils or something like that. So again, Clemson, Bama, they got things figured out. Ohio State, they have several talented options here, but none of them have really taken a snap in college football. You got C.J. Stroud. These are all names that you recognize. Jack Miller's there. Kyle McCord's there. These were guys when they came out of high school that had a lot of stars next to their name. These are guys that have been handpicked, obviously, by Ryan Day. But again, I go back to this point. And this is going to be something that's harped on a lot. This is why it's so pivotal, obviously, for a program like Ohio State to get a full spring this year. They didn't have to have that last year. It would have been nice, but they knew Justin Fields was the man. This year, not so much. So you got a lot of raw but talented options there. There is no time for the real sharp learning curve. Ohio State's, they're contending every year, and they've got the pieces elsewhere. And so this is one, I think, probably from the national landscape, this is one that will have the finest what am I looking for? Microscope on it. There we go, not microphone. But that'll be really, really hotly contested, and it'll be watched as much as, probably more so, but to me, as much as the one at Oregon. So Oregon's one we've already talked about. At Oregon, Ty Thompson is brand new on campus. A lot of people are already kind of trying to coronate him as the presumed starter for Mario Cristobal and the Ducks. I haven't certainly gone that far yet. I think he is, if I had to bet money, eventually going to take starting snaps at some point in the 2021 season. But right now, there are a couple of names associated here, like Jay Butterfield, Robbie Ashford. Those are names, if you talk to Oregon insiders, they'll tell you, hey, don't sleep on those guys. And I'm not. But if you nailed me down and had me pick two names, it's going to be Anthony Brown, or it's going to be, in all likelihood, Ty Thompson. And so I want to note one thing that, again, let me see who did this. I think it was Hummer that did it. Yeah, so Chris Hummer wrote this article that's on the front page right now, and he made a good point. And this is a point that I think you're going to hear repeatedly over the offseason when I think it eventually is whittled down to Anthony Brown or Ty Thompson. Thompson is Joe Moorhead's guy. Joe Moorhead is the offensive coordinator there, entering his second year. First time he'll get a spring with any of these guys, but that is the guy. Now, that doesn't always mean everything, because this time last year, there was a situation at Alabama where Mac Jones had been there for it felt like a decade and waited his turn, and everyone was saying, to be honest, yours truly included, I think Bryce Young will eventually be the starter there. Why? Well, A, because he's really talented, and B, because he's Sark's guy. So that doesn't always mean anything, but it doesn't mean nothing. Let me put it that way. So Ty Thompson, I think it's a matter of when, not if with him. But Anthony Brown's not going to go quietly there at all. And those other two guys, I think, will play roles. There's a common theme, again, throughout all this with these quarterback competitions. For all I know, Mario Cristobal has it in his gut already who's going to start for him. Doesn't really matter. You got to earn the job. You got to win the job first off. You have to execute at the highest level, give the team a best chance to win, but you got to also win that locker room. Like, those guys have to believe in it too. How about LSU? LSU totally fell off the map last year relative to where they had been in 2019. They lost Miles Brennan after 3 games. So let's reverse, okay? Let's just put the car in reverse. Let's go back in time. Miles Brennan was not playing bad football at all. They were losing, but it certainly wasn't because of offensive ineptitude. And then after 3 games, Miles Brennan goes down. And at the time, based on the rumors, it was, oh, Miles Brennan's out this week and next week. And then all of a sudden it turned into a season-ending injury. And you would assume, because Ed Orgeron kept saying, well, Miles Brennan's our starting quarterback. If and when he can come back, he's our starting quarterback. Well, then he never came back. And it would be just widely presumed that it's his job this year, and it may still be. Like, I think he's probably, if you polled LSU fans, the leader in the clubhouse. But it's really hard to forget a couple of things for me. It's really hard to forget that trip to Gainesville when they went in there severely undermanned and also a 24-some-odd point underdog, and they beat Florida outright with Max Johnson pulling the trigger at quarterback. And then they also really ran it up against Ole Miss. And so those are the lasting impressions in my mind of Max Johnson, to the point where, like, I think they have a legitimate competition right there at quarterback too at LSU. And so I know Finley kind of figures in that mix as well. I personally look at it and I say, it's probably going to be Johnson, and if not Johnson there, then I think Miles Brennan. I think Miles Brennan's going to be their starting quarterback. Like, if there's nothing more that needs to be known about him health-wise, Miles Brennan was named starter last year for a reason. These guys were on campus last year. Miles Brennan won the job last year. So I would assume he can win the job again this year, doing the same thing he did to win it the first time. However, and this is important to keep in mind, not just a new offensive coordinator at LSU, an entirely new coaching staff at LSU. So again, bear in mind, it could be very much a work in progress. Obviously you don't have anything figured out throughout spring. Like, this is something that's probably going to bleed well into fall camp. The quarterback battle I'm most excited to watch in America this season is Michigan. And Michigan probably convoluted this thing even more for outsiders this past week when you looked at your iJosh and you said, what's this breaking news out of Ann Arbor? Oh my goodness, Alan Bowman. The Texas Tech kid? Yeah, that kid. Alan Bowman is transferring to Michigan. Wait a second. I already thought we had 2 quarterback options up there. I mean, we had, J.J. McCarthy, big 5-star, stud true freshman's coming in. Cade McNamara played some good ball at times for him last year. I thought that was going to be the battle. Well, it is. We're just going to throw a third ingredient into the mix here. And here's why this is unique. With some of these other quarterback battles, if we put odds on these quarterback battles, even though in some cases it's a battle, you would go 75%, 25% in terms of who you think has the best chance of starting. At Michigan, I don't know that we don't have a really, really even 3-way split right now. Bowman can play football for you. Like, you're not taking a transfer that can't play for you. And so Jim Harbaugh and his offensive coaching staff there, they brought in the transfer this past week. And then you've got J.J. McCarthy, who a lot of Michigan fans are pulling for to start just because of the hype that any 5-star true freshman quarterback comes in with. And then Cade McNamara is a guy that showed he can be trusted last year. I know he didn't have stats that just like make your eyes pop out of your head, but here's one stat he had. I think it was a goose egg in the turnover column. I didn't think he threw a single interception. And so, like, those 3, that's the reason it's most exciting to me. It is very much a make or break year for that coaching staff. I think they're well aware of that. And so the whole focal point there for Michigan and all the fans up there know it is, all right, which way is Harbaugh going to go? What does he value the most? Does he value the guy that has the most upside, even if he's a little green early on, or does he go with the guy that, maybe has the lower ceiling, but he can just trust not to lose games? Because you don't have a job to lose. He does. They do, as that coaching staff. That's going to be something really, really interesting to watch. And for an outsider, it's going to be fun to watch. Last but not least, I could go all day on this because we're not even hitting some of the other programs. Texas. Texas is a place where midpoint of last year, if Ellinger didn't come back, which he ended up not coming back, you would have thought, man, this is going to be a really interesting quarterback battle. Well, now that you saw what Casey Thompson did in the bowl game, it's kind of a Thompson versus Hudson Card, but this is one where I think 80+% of the money would come in on Casey Thompson, probably more than 80%. And I agree with that. Like, I think he's the guy. But here's the other element to keep in mind. This is a place where obviously you have an entirely new coaching staff, head coach included. So obviously the offensive coaching staff's different. I know what we saw in the bowl game. I know how good Casey Thompson looked. I remember the phone blowing up and people saying, "Wait a second, if this is what Texas is going to have at quarterback next year." God bless Sam Ehlinger. He's been here. I mean, it's the best decade of his career has been the one he spent in college. But could it be that this is one of those situations where it's an upgrade? Like, because Casey Thompson, man, the ball he's playing right now in this bowl game, I don't know that we saw our offense consistently operate at this level all year. Hey, I don't know if that's what we should expect as the norm for Texas offensively this year. But I will say, with this new coaching staff coming in, and also, it's kind of a side note, knowing how loaded the state of Texas is next year, it's going to be so imperative for Steve Sarkisian and that offense out of the gate to show that they are capable of every bit the kind of explosion offensively at Texas with him as the head man as he was at Alabama when he was just calling the shots as offensive coordinator. Those are just some of the quarterback battles that we'll be keeping an eye on. And I know that it seems like a lot, and that's because it is a lot. So if you want parity, again, you can't in good conscience say, "Oh, the playoffs already decided," when we have no clue who's starting quarterback for many of the teams that you would presume to be favorites, and at the programs where we do presumably know who the starters are, like Alabama with Bryce Young, DJ Uiagalelei over at Clemson, they haven't even been starters full-time yet. So if you want parity, go take the spots from those teams. That's what I'm telling you to do.